I'm at the Twente Additive Manufacturing R&D facility in Germany. My name is Jared Gross, and I've been traveling the world to all of the areas where people are innovating construction automation. Inside, Tim is working on some of the software, both in Rhino, Grasshopper, along with electrical stuff for their pump, and even mechanicals with their robotic arm they use for testing. We're going to look at the workshop with Tim, talk about some of the stuff he's working on, and the future developments he's looking forward to bringing to Twente Additive Manufacturing. Here's their facility. Let's take a look inside.
Hi, I'm Tim Brodesser. I'm head of R&D at Twente Additive Manufacturing. We're here in our prototyping lab in the south of Germany. I do material qualification, material testing. I test software for robotics. I have one prototyping printer here. It's a small one, but works well for testing hardware, nozzles, pumping systems, automating projects we're working on. 2018 we started Twente Additive Manufacturing with a couple of friends and former business partners and colleagues. We all were working in the automation industry, automating processes in the fabrication of wind turbine blades. And as well, I've been in touch and knowing Ian for a long time, working in the skateboard industry, where I've been working on basically CAD and CAM. This brought me into robotics and my interest for machines and automation in general. I have a wood technology. I have an engineering degree in wood technology. So basically that's what you also see a little bit in the background here. Yeah, so let's talk about our humble beginnings. It's actually quite funny, and we did come a long way from, actually, Jared, you can dig out our very first extruder here. It has an auger on it, and we mounted it to the robot, and we're actually able to do our first print, which looked like this. It's meant to be a stool. Line quality is still very questionable, but we improved that a lot. So what you can see here in the background is an old KUKA robot from 2005. Actually, it used to run in Audi factory, and now it's doing a lot of printing and CNC milling here. Another thing we're working on is an improved way of pumping and process control for our prints. I can tell you about the wall of failure. So here is what my girlfriend used to call the wall of failure, because I lined up all the initial prints here in the beginning, and of course it didn't look that great in the beginning. So now I made so many prints I cannot line them all up here. A lot of failures, but a lot of successes as well. I kept some of the funny ones here, using different materials from different suppliers. Cannot carry this one, but this is early experiments with 2K material. Looks horrible, but it was quite successful, also showing off nonlinear slicing. In this R&D lab, I'm doing the qualification of different print materials. We're working with various material manufacturers, where we're evaluating build rate. We're tuning our pumping machines with the best specs. We're finding out best rotor-stator combinations that need to go with certain materials. Looking for different hose strategies, as well as our extrusion system itself, and different nozzles, nozzle sizes, and functionality like start-stop functionality. We're also working hard on measuring all the process parameters, but also controlling and having closed loop features on our pumping system and the whole extrusion process, so we can keep and actually have good quality control of all our prints and offer this to our clients. A big advantage with 3D printing is basically I could be the programmer, which often happens for projects that are being printed in our facility in Canada, and this can be all over the globe. So we can send print files or machine code via email or just some other digital transfer wherever the machine is. This is my humble little office here. Here is a machine I use often for prototyping fixtures, nozzle parts, just a regular FDM printer. Here one of the funny parts that I actually printed in big first, which you can see outside. It's a Hilbert curve that I use here. First of all, I like the design, how it looks, but it's a space filling curve that is really interesting for me here, as I have limited space for doing our test prints. So it gives me a lot of line length without having to fill out a block. So I need the line length, gives me more time for doing adjustments and verifying our parameters. What you can see here are my giant book stands that I like keeping here because they are the first successful prints with our start-stop functionality. That this is basically, it's frozen in time how it looks like. I could have like smoothed it out completely, but this is what it is.
And why does it look like that?
Pardon?
Why does it look like that?
Because this is like, this is the end of a line. So basically those two parts were printed apart from each other, and when the printer starts or stops, you don't see the start here, but you see the end of the line where the extrusion is stopped. And it's not so trivial with 3D printing mortars, so we're happy we achieved this properly. This textured weaving pattern is quite old. I did it in the very beginning of our printing endeavors, and I just liked keeping this one here as a table. Here you see another one of our first prints, experimenting with different infill patterns on multiple cavity walls. In the end, it turned out that the thermal bridging of those zigzag infills is like not so great, so we found better methods of reducing thermal bridging in the wall. Here are some simple test prints, multiple test prints actually, that we used for close control on our material feed. In those prints we used a laser sensor to do real-time measurement and adjustment of the extrusion rate. Other test prints that are recycled here as planters. Of course, they could be made on purpose, but basically this is a test element where I'm testing overhang, like maximum overhang of the piece, as well as build rate at the same time. This is a parametrically designed planter, so it could have a lot of different shapes and still would answer the same questions. They were not meant to be as planters, but got recycled as such. And thanks to my father who actually put some green into them finally. This is a test where we're that's basically trying to survive the elements, which it does fairly well. It's a 3D printed part that where we tested plastering and how well it would attach and bond. The bottom part here is a test piece on small scale that was actually printed in Canada, where I wanted to verify the parameters that I adjusted. And so it turned out I had to tweak parameters. So this is also something really cool that we can do with multiple printers and multiple locations. You can see some of our latest developments. We're especially proud of the color scheme. So we're having multiple sensing locations for various parameters, not only pressure and temperature that are of course important for the data collection, so that we can guarantee the quality of the print is going to be perfect and as intended. As we have quite some spare material, or like let's call it waste material, when we start and finish the process of 3D printing, there is always material with less good quality that can be recycled into something. So here we just milled some plaster molds and filled them here. Well, thanks Jared for passing by. I hope you enjoyed the tour here in one of our R&D facilities here in Germany. And yeah, check out Twente-am.com for more information about our products, our services, and I'm sure we can help you.